Hi, this is Commando number 4840, Tank Buster. Two old tanks, two knocked out Italian tanks, whose guns still worked and were trained on the prison camp fence. These and some vicious strands of barbed wire were what stood between a crowd of desperate British prisoners and freedom. Captain Al Kelly and Lieutenant Pete Smith reckoned there was a fighting chance of escaping, and that was all these two desert fighters asked. And from the front cover, you would think that this is a aviation story, but it's not. It does depict a scene in the story, but it's not an aviation story. And at the start, we have a introduction. It actually gives the credit of who wrote and the artwork, although it's story by Boutland. It doesn't give a first name. I think that's just a second name. Art by C.T. Rigby and cover by Ken Barr. I really like that cover. This was originally published as number 164 and 1965. So this story is set in North Africa in World War II, and the main character is an Australian character, and is sort of he rubs up the wrong way against a sort of young officer who's Pete Smith. And the Australian, he wants to sort of charge through and go ahead, but the Pete Smith character, or the English character, wants to hold their position. And this leads to some unfortunate casualties for the Australians. And that's the beginning of the trouble and conflict between these two characters, the Australian and the Englishman. And the Australian gets captured. The English character, Pete Smith, can't quite remember how he avoids capture. The Australians are in prison camp, and devises a plan of getting out. But as they're making their escape, they come across a tank, but there is help at hand, and that leads to the scene depicted in the front cover with hurricanes attacking the tanks. And so the Australian Al Kelly is safe and manages a long trek in the desert at night and survives. And they come across another Australian, this time a tank platoon. And they also receive casualties, and Al Kelly loses one of his best mates. And so, being in this position, he has a grievance with the English characters, Pete Smith, and they meet up in this desert town. And there's a real conflict between these two characters. There's the actual historic site and location of Tobruk. Is in North Africa, and there's the siege of Tobruk. So it does have historical relevance, and I'm quite sure accuracy to it as well. And the Pete Smith character, he's on a different sort of group from the Australian, although they're attacking the same target. But he once again is caught up and slowed down while the Australian sort of charges on, and so this still sort of aggravates the grievance and conflict of the two characters. And the English character, Pete Smith, has a real feels he has a real point to prove to the Australian Al Kelly. And they almost have a duel in the desert to settle things, an old-fashioned sort of pistol duel. But it's prevented, and later on they're fighting alongside, sort of shoulder to shoulder. And so in that moment, they're differences are put aside. And I think he proves his bravery. He overcome overwhelming odds. And in the end, they fight alongside each other and sort of bury the hatchet. So a good story, quite intense, a lot of action. I give it an 8 out of 10. Next up we have Commando number 4916, Duel to the Death. I can't help but think of Evel Knievel when I sort of see that. Thanks for watching. Bye.